families and friends. This is your brother Kofi. Africa Day celebration started officially on 25th May 1963. Since then, every 25th May has been celebrated as African Day by Africans and Friends of Africa globally. Since 2002, Humanitas Afrika has revived, reintroduced, inspired, and led the celebration of Africa Day in Czech Republic with passion, commitment, and creativity. Our organization, Humanitas Afrika, has spiced and re-energized and sustained the celebration of Africa Day in Czech Republic and African activities with refreshingly new ideas very often. And this year, 2024, is no exception. It is therefore to the creativity of Humanitas Afrika that this year we have come up with a new concept for a special conference for Africa Day called Speaker Make a Video Clip Conference. We developed the topic Africa Exploring New Strategic Partnership for Accelerated Development in a Rapidly Changing World. And we asked people, Czechs and Africans, a few of them who are interested in the development of Africa, to make presentation in relation to the topic. What is interesting about this new concept is that we asked the speakers to do the presentation privately at the comfort of their home and record it. And from their recordings, we have put all the clips together and make it into a one video as a presentation for you, the public. We would like to thank very much the sisters and brothers who took part in our first Speaker Make a Video Clip Conference in celebration of African Day this year. Now, we would like you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the following presentation as we wish you a happy African Day 2024. Thank you very much. Ubuntu.
Africa exploring new strategic partnerships and possibilities for accelerated development in a rapidly changing world. This is the theme. The theme is very timely for Africa this 21st century, meaning Africa, a world that is rapidly changing due to this era or century we are in, and I view it as a great theme of the time, and I appreciate it a lot. I'm not going to give a scientific research methodology style of delivery, presentation, or speech to it, but a bedrock point of view, a basic touch, a fundamental approach, or primarily a foundation delivery. In fact, let us give this exploration of strategic partners, which is aimed at the accelerated development of the time of Africa, a blend of exotic approach. Yes, let's go in for the various and right partners, that is foreign technologies and scientists wherever possible, and incorporate them in with a local approach, meaning with our own African people, that is the technologies, the scientists, the academicians, the intellectuals, the naturally talented who are dexterous at what they do best, and African innovators among the youth and the adults, and let us gear them towards industrial revolution of the time. This requires our governments, investors, and entrepreneurs' direct involvement. In order to achieve accelerated development, we need to develop our own energy systems that are African in nature, because a nation, therefore a continent without its own energy systems developed or harnessed by its own people, cannot imbibe the needed accelerated momentum which is eminent. In Africa, our own energy systems could be harnessed from the sun and gravity, apart from the coal, oil, and natural gas that we have. In fact, let us technologically and scientifically innovate the system ourselves with our own hands. Let us inculcate a spirit of improvising and improving upon what already exists to revamp industrialization. Let us create the awareness and educate our youth to that effect with government or private sector support. In In this industrial revolution, let us bear in mind a high marketing survey, standardization, aesthetic packaging, and quality assurance in everything created, invented, innovated, and their highly polished, fine-tuned finishing. That is, precision, compactness, rigidity, strength, and functionality. As Africans, let us eschew the usual spirit of we can't do it and replace this with a spirit of doing superfluous things beyond imagination. Let us learn from the ant, please. Let our governments go in really a big time what I refer to as HEEATING. It is an acronym. H for health, E for energy, E for education, A for agriculture, T for transportation, I for information and communication technology, N for nationalism, and G for growth. Whereas we pursue these goals in our various individual countries, let us inculcate in our hearts the love for Africa towards the United States of Africa. For this is what will bring a true unity and technological advancement automatically and in a powerful way to protect the continent in a big way. Therefore, in conclusion, let us pursue the do, which is the concept which gives rise to the let us do, the practical realization of the concept. And finally, the most important aspect, that is the put, push, or pull from the governments, which means the support in cash and kind, which tends to the throughput, which means the flow of materials passing through the system or the process, which are needed for the accelerated flow of the targeted technological and industrial development. Wisdom Yao Donyo, PhD Information Technology and Management, MBA Finance.
Hi everybody, my name is Jan Svoboda. I work at the Philosophical Institute of the Academy of Sciences in Prague. I am really happy to be here with you to celebrate Africa Day this year. And thank you so much for inviting me. A few years ago, together with my colleagues, I started a cooperation with the University of Addis Ababa. For me, it was actually the first real contact with Africa. Ethiopia is a very interesting country with old Christian spiritual roots. It's an African country that has never been colonized. But what is also important, has an ancient script that is several millennia old and which gave rise to the modern Ethiopian languages. Ethiopia is home to Christian culture, but also to Jewish, Muslim and indigenous cultures. Ancient influences have also permeated the country. The special intercultural atmosphere and sense for tolerance gave rise to a unique rational philosophy in 17th century, quite independently of rational thought in Europe. Moreover, this philosophy was socially oriented and we find strong reformist elements in it. So it is not just a question of promoting this philosophy in Europe. This can be seen as a first step. This kind of philosophy also created, in my opinion, a suitable basis for understanding between cultures, for cultivating strategic partnerships, a basis for seeking unity in diversity. Thank you very much for the attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends and colleagues, I welcome that Africa Day is celebrated also this year, 2024. While some parts of the world find themselves in upheaval and armed conflicts, in other parts people have the opportunity to create alternatives to the current arrangements and build development based on social and political justice. Africa keeps both these trajectories. Africa has its own great potential. It may use also global possibilities as a significant component of the global south, which is on the rise these years, as we have seen also in representative meetings, particularly in the enlargement of BRICS recently, or in the summit G77 with China, which took place in Uganda. African people, African nations, and Africa as a whole have new opportunities for strategic partnerships and for accelerated development in the contemporary changing world, which becomes more and more multipolar and multilateral. It allows more communication, mutual recognition, and solidarity among partners. It is a wonderful opportunity for better and bigger cooperation within Africa, as well as cooperation among Africa and other parts of the world, Latin America, Asia, and also Europe and North America. I wish all the best to you, my African friends and colleagues, sisters and brothers, in this special day, the Africa Day.
Hello, my name is Corona Sermak. I live in Brno, but originally I'm from Tanzania. In Brno, I teach Swahili at Masariki University Language Center, and also I teach English at the International School of Brno. But the biggest thing which gives me joy is I write children books, and I write them in Swahili and in English. Today, I'm very happy to be given this opportunity to speak about the topic which has been brought forward, that Africa exploring a new strategic partnership and possibilities for accelerated development in rapid changing world. In this topic, I will discuss two very important things. I will emphasize on these two important things. First is partnership. When I speak about partnership, is that what kind of relationship you have with this partner, with this person that you want to do business with this person that you want to cooperate with. And when we speak about partnership, I'm not going to kindly say about only the politicians, what kind of law they create, or what kind of contract they get into with the different companies. But I want us to understand that from the lowest part of the community, from you as a person, an artist, a musician, a writer, a teacher, what do you do? What kind of partnership do you create with another African, or with a person from abroad, or with a country, or with a continent? So I want to create a big picture right from the beginning, from the lowest part of the community to the top part of the community, because for Africa to develop, for Africa to have positive impacts, for Africa to move forward with the rest of the world in development, we have to think about every person in that African continent. What do, you as an individual, to create possibilities, to create fairness, to create a better system that another African can come and work and benefit from that little work that you have done? So I want to tell people that whatever little thing that you do, think about how does it help another African, how does it help Africa as a continent, or a country in Africa move forward together with the rest of the world in development. So when we know this kind of relationship we have together, we have with another partner, then we'll be able to know whether it's a positive relationship or it's a negative kind of partnership relationship. So here, when you know that if it's a positive, then you know that you're going to create a positive development. You're going to create possibilities. You're going to create ways, better ways for young Africans, for our children, so that they are able to move forward with the rest of the world. Because we do not expect the rest of the world to come inside in Africa and help us. They will come and create better ways for themselves and their own generation. So we as an Africans, we have the responsibility in whatever position you are in the society to be able to create a better environment for another African. Because if we sit and just blame the politicians that they didn't do this, they didn't do that, but we are the ones who are choosing them. We are the ones who are giving them that position. And after all, you cannot wait until you are in a political power to change things for better. But you as a person, where you are, what are you doing with your partner? Whether you work with a European person, whether you work with a Nigerian person, you're from Kenya, whether you work with a Ghanaian person and you're from Tanzania, whether you work with anybody, what do you do to create a better place for another person who comes after you? Yeah. So these are the things that I want us to think when we are discussing this topic. For any rapid development in Africa, it has to start within us. For any rapid development in Africa, it has to start within us as individuals. What I say is that we as Africans, we are not writing things about ourselves. We are not writing our culture. We're not writing about ourselves. We leave it for people to write for us. We are not coming into many different activities about Africa to speak for ourselves. We let other people speak for us. And this is what is happening, that people are going to speak for us, and when they speak for us, they speak wrong thing, and we sit and complain that, well, how come they did this? Did you go and try tell them about that? So my idea is more general, but I want to call for every kind of individual as an African to think about themselves. What do they do in their own place, in their own position, to make Africa move forward with the rest of the world? Let's speak about, for example, language. I teach Swahili. Now, when you go to universities, most of the students are offered an extra language, and most of these languages which are offered, they're European languages. Are there no languages in Africa? There's thousands of languages in Africa. Why is it that in most of the universities there is no African language offered? We have got many big languages. These are the things. How many of us Africans have lived in Europe? We have not tried to teach people about our culture, about our languages. Let's see about our children. Did we ever try to teach our children our own languages? Are we scared? Are we shameful? That's where we start. These little things that we start. And we try to let our children learn English, learn different languages, French, different languages, and then they forget about their culture. They forget to be proud of who they are. And then we come and speak about how to move forward with the rest of the world. How would you move forward with the rest of the world when part of you, part of your own self is left behind, part of your own self that you do not know? These are the things that we have to think about, that we have to learn about who we are. We have to learn about where we are going, where we came from. With that reason, it comes language, it comes culture. You live in Europe, you have to try your best to teach your children, your generation, about who you are, their language, their culture. You live in Europe, if there are any African events, go so that you can tell them who you are. Be proud of what that African culture has given you, it has brought you to who you have become. So I want us all to be part of this topic, to ask ourselves, what have we done to make Africa move forward, and to make Africa move forward with the rest of the world and achieve all this possible development that everybody is achieving. So it is normal for any other continent to come to Africa, take all the natural resources, because they want to develop themselves. They do not want you to develop, and it's not surprising. Anybody will do that. So if we Africans are not teaching our own children how to be comfortable within them, then they are not able to start fighting for their natural resources, because they still don't know themselves. You haven't taught them how to be confident first. So this is something that I see, and I'm happy to share with you. And I believe that my view somehow will touch somebody, and they'll be able to make Africa move forward. Thank you very much for this day, and wishing you a nice day. Bye.
Hello, everyone. My name is Albert Kasanda. I am a philosopher and sociologist. I am a researcher. I am delighted to celebrate this African Day 2024 with all of you. I am personally convinced that Africa deserves such a celebration, since it is the land of the future. It is a continent critical for ecology, for mineral resources, and also for the growth of population. The largest tropical peat bog in the world is in Africa, in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The peat bog is useful to combat climate change, to protect water resources, as well as to preserve biodiversity. Africa also hosts most of the raw material needed for the development of current technology revolution. There is no need to remind ourselves how coltan is important for our smartphones and laptops. The aviation industry and space research also rely on material from Africa. Africa also has a young population and a dynamic demographic growth. A lot of violence is unfolding in Africa. The current conflict raging in the Great Lakes region, involving the Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, Burundi, and Uganda, can be taken as an illustration. I appeal to everyone to reject as strong as possible the forces that encourage terrorism and provoke proxy wars that destabilize African countries in order to plunder their natural resources. I call everyone to solidarity with Africa for African peace, equity, and development. Enjoy Africa Day.
Dear African friends, it's my great honor and privilege to congratulate the African Union and the African countries and all African people at the occasion of 61st anniversary of the foundation of the African Union, then the organization of the African Unity. It's a great day not only for Africans, but for all of us who consider themselves friends and supporters of Africa. In 1963, 32 countries established the organization of the African Unity. These 32 countries had a population of 250 million people. Nowadays, the African Union is made of 55 independent countries, and the population of Africa is practically 1.5 billion people. Africa is coming through a time of change nowadays. It seems that Africa is now in the second decolonization. It's after almost 60 years of post-colonial period. It's now that Africa found its place in the global economy, in the global world. The newly born multipolar world gives Africa much more opportunities to realize its independence, to strengthen its independence, to work not only one or two partners, but to work with very many partners, east, west, south, north. So the future of Africa looks extremely bright nowadays, and I wish once again the African countries, African people, to have a nice celebration of the Africa Day and to have a better, much more prosperous and stable future. Thank you.
Africa, exploring new strategic partnerships and possibilities for accelerated development in a rapidly changing world. Yes, definitely partnership, it is a magical world of today's world. Partnership, international partnership, multinational or pluridisciplinary or interdisciplinary partnership. All those kind of partnerships are now moving the world, are now moving the nations, ethnic groups, different part of all continents of this our earth. It is definitely the main point of our interest, and it should be the main point of our interest. And of course, Africa as the most diverse continent, Africa as the youngest continent, Africa as the quickest developing continent is without any question, without any hesitation, the main partner for other continents. Until today, African continent was always understood as a continent that was a victim of slavery system, victim of colonial system, victim of France, of Belgium, of England. But all that is a history. It is the history that we cannot forget. It is the history that cannot be forgotten. It is the history that has to be taught in every single corner of this world. But in the same time, the present is now, and it is now that we have to change the world, and it is now that we have to change the view that, or the ideas that we have about Africa. Africa, it is an equal partner to every single member of this world, and there is no difference, there is no relations of superiority or inferiority. No, we are all equals, and the Africa offers many different kind of the partnerships with its cultures, thousands of languages, thousands of ethnic groups, thousands of cosmologies, thousands of different attitudes toward technologies, etc. Africa, it is the main partner of this world.
Why celebrate Africa? It's simple. Africa matters. Africa deserves it. Celebrating Africa also means a need to avoid common stereotypes. Africa is not just diamonds. Africa is not just hunger, corruption, and that stuff. Africa is not just pirates and Islamists. Africa is not just Africans leaving the continent, flooding us and destroying us. Africa is not just wilderness. Africa is not a continent lacking civilization. And above all, Africa doesn't share a homogeneous culture. If you want to eradicate such misconceptions, come and see the next ECAS, European Conference on African Studies, the biggest Africanist event in Europe, organized this time by the Czech Association of African Studies, that will take place in Prague next June, for the first time in a Central European country. The conference theme, which is African, Afropolitan, and Afropean belongings and identities, speaks for itself, showing tremendous heterogeneity, complexities, and multiple trajectories related to Africa and Africans. Africa knows.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Radwig. I'm a professor at the University of Hradec Králové in African Studies. I'm speaking on behalf of a team of 5 people that are currently involved in examining, investigating the lives of African people and Afro-Czechs in this country. We've embarked on this project already 2.5 years ago and collected many life stories, narratives, experiences of people with African heritage who live in this country, who we believe have not been given enough voice in this country. So I would like to also say this in order to perhaps find people, more people still, who are willing to share their stories and come to us and contribute to this project. Thank you.
I God and King sat upon the throne of Ethiopia through the remarkers Bahadar to Aksuma. Salam Naju. Greetings, Black Rasalams and Jamba.
With 400 years, 100 millions and many more. We were back like fish in a cannon shifted of Guinea shores. Yeah, they took black magic and Ashanti's golden stool. Oh yes, we worked on plantations and never get no pay. It's a full-time no, we set to the score. Yes, a full-time no, black people should know. Africa, you're not royalty. Africa, you're not royalty. Mama Africa, you're not royalty. Africa, you're not royalty. You see, a nation without any mystery is like a tree without roots. That kind of tree could never bear no fruit, Mama Africa. Before we dance abroad, we got to learn to dance a yard. Divide and rule could only tear us apart.